What if doors were actually portals? Enter Owl's shop, end up in a Kulakan's chamber.
What a fool you are.
Wouldn't that be weird? Well, with the fancy door randomizer mod, that could just very well happen. By default, there's a 25% chance for a door to randomize to any similar door within a 2-cell radius. Enter a house in Pelagiad, land in the Andrano Ancestral Tomb. This also applies to interior doors. Navigating the Underscar in Aldron is a nightmare. But what if instead of a 25% chance, it's a 100% chance? And what if instead of a 2-cell limit, there's no limit? Any door can go anywhere. An actual portal. This is going to be messy. To go along with the randomness of the world, I picked our race, class, and birth sign randomly as well. My pseudo-random number generating function is pretty complex, so I won't go into too many details, but understand that it's the result of billions of years of procedural evolution. I covered my eyes and I clicked the screen. We're a Redguard spell sword born under the sign of the shadow. Once per day, for 60 seconds, we can turn invisible. Useless because we become uninvisible as soon as we open a door. Also, I have a fast start mod installed, that's why this screen looks a little different. All the mods are in the description. Our name started out as a nonsensical key mash, but we'll eventually change it to a Nable na Memenu, the most obscure of Daedric ruins. If you're familiar with randomizers, you've probably heard of no-logic randomizers, where the algorithm doesn't take into account anything. In the context of, say, an Ocarina of Time no-logic randomizer, there might be a room that requires the bow to enter, but the bow is in that very room, so you gotta get cute with glitches and stuff. Randomizers with logic are designed to avoid these kinds of soft locks. The fancy door randomizer has a logic to it, but teasing it out takes a little bit of thought. To avoid soft locks, however, the mod gives you an option to re-randomize the doors after a set number of hours. By default, it's set to 24 hours. It's to avoid situations where two interior doors are connected together with no actual way of getting into either of them. It's hard to explain exactly how the logic works, and it took me some time to figure it out while I was wandering aimlessly, but I think it'll make more sense once you see it in action. Here's an issue that can't really be fixed without console commands. This door leads to the Factor's estate in Raven Rock, but the estate hasn't actually been built yet, so even though this place seems normal, the door that brought us here doesn't exist. See, if the door was here, it would bring us back to TESIII, where we entered from. If we wanted to actually get inside that building that led us here, the one in TESIII, we'd have to enter the door leading to the Factor's estate. It's like the doors were switched. You might think intervention would work here, but usually these non-existent rooms are far from their expected locations, so intervention might not work. This doesn't happen all that much though. This is actually the first and only time it does happen. Getting kitted out won't be as simple as it usually is. Spell swords get Longblade as a major skill, and since Redguards get an extra plus 15 to Longblade, we start with 45 immediately, making even Tarheel's Iron Spark Sword decent. A good thing too, because finding other weapons is going to be tough. We also start with Firebite and Hearthheal, so we've got some options even if the sword doesn't cut it. With only 30 Magicka though, we're not really able to cast that many spells, so the Mentor's Ring would be incredibly useful. It would be a 33% increase to our Magicka pool.
Oh, whoa. That confused me. I forgot we had the doors randomized. I was like, whoa, this tomb is really long.
The Samaris Ancestral Tomb sends us to the St. Dellen Wasteworks, knowing that if we actually wanted to get into the tomb, we'd have to travel to Vivec and find the correct Wasteworks exterior door and go through that. It would drop us inside the tomb. But at the time of this recording, I didn't realize that's how it worked, so I didn't go to Vivec, and I never got the ring. The first chunk of this run will be a lot of disorganized door opening, in the hopes of finding something useful. A spell vendor, a merchant, maybe a nice piece of gear. The approach is to wander the overworld, pop into any door we find, and see where it takes us, hoping the next door will be the door home. To make things even more interesting, we're running with the Mercy Combat AI Overhaul mod. It makes combat more dynamic. Enemies dodge and weave, they can attack while running, and they switch up their attack patterns based on the player's actions. They also have a chance to surrender and hand over their loot. It's neat. There is some generative AI voice acting though. It's mostly for telegraphing NPC behavior, but I know it could be a bit controversial. Without it, the mod wouldn't be that different, and the voices are a little uncanny, so it's obvious that it's AI. At least I think so. The text you're seeing on the screen is a different mod. Hit and miss percentage indicators. If you miss, it tells you what your hit chance was. If you hit, it tells you how much damage you did. It only works for melee, but it's fantastic regardless. The problem with Morrowind's dice roll mechanics isn't that it's random, it's that it's mysterious. The game lacks feedback, this mod adds feedback. I don't like using the Dark Brotherhood armor all that much, it's kind of overpowered, but for this run, I'm taking whatever I can get. Silver Claymore. Low durability on this guy, but it's a two-hander that can hit ghosts and Daedra. Good enough until we find something better, I suppose.
Alright, just stop. Please. Aha, they didn't expect me to leave and then re-randomize the door. Oh shit. This is worse.
What is it, pest?
Okay, I'm listening.
Aha! A merchant. Time to make some gold. The Drethan Ancestral Tomb. This is the wrong half of this dungeon. Damn. The other part of this dungeon has Nerevar's ring. It's a very good ring. We might find it later.
I have you.
Cool, more money. Trying to get into the other part of this dungeon sends us to Hlormaren, but it's an interior door because the door from the Drethan Tomb was also an interior door. If we can get to the actual room in Hlormaren that the door we exited from normally leads to, we can leave that room and end up in the part of the Drethan Ancestral Tomb with Nerevar's ring. But how do we get to that part of Hlormaren? I don't know. I didn't try. I hope these explanations are making sense.
Grab him! You can't avoid me forever.
Oh, he's right. Is that my soul leaving? Oh no, it was the fire. Oh, that was weird.
Let's go somewhere else.
You should have picked an easier opponent.
This game is hard when you don't have stuff. Here's what it's like when an enemy surrenders.
Stop! I surrender to you! Take these. The spoils of victory.
They drop their gold, their weapons, some other miscellaneous items, and they walk away. It's not like Skyrim where they get a second wind and start fighting again. I'm not actually confident enough to finish him off, so today, he gets to live. Damn it, let's wait a day and cycle this door to something else. Oh, the Balmora Temple. Spell vendors. Mark, recall, Obsidian intervention. This changes things, because now, no matter where a door sends us, we can retreat to the nearest city. In this case, I would like to explore the many Doras in Balmoras, but we can't just leave out the front door of the temple. We'll get sent back to Phallus Marion. Instead, we cast Obsidian intervention and pop right outside.
The Hlalu Council. Probes! Now we can abduct people and be all like, oh, we're aliens. We've mastered space travel, but we just can't get biology down.
Now check this out. This might do a better job at explaining the logic of the randomizer. We entered the Fighters Guild's lower door and ended up in the Hlalu building. So if we go to the Hlalu building and enter that door, we end up in the Fighters Guild.
Hail!
Get over here.
Duh. The other Hlalu Council door takes us to Naukarya's shop. You might not expect such generosity from a haughty high elf, but she'll actually let us borrow a bunch of her alchemy equipment. Just don't let her know that's what we're doing. We ain't bringing it back. Oh, Vivek. I thought I could kill a god. What a grand and intoxicating innocence.
Hey, man. What's up, dude?
The Dren Plantation. A lot of NPCs around here have Daedric weapons. This guy has a Daedric Claymore, actually, and killing him doesn't accrue a bounty. Okay, the Silver Claymore ain't all that great.
Revere. Oh, shit. Holy. Oh, my God.
Sweet
Dude.
skooma.
Oh, my God. Why is that so expensive? It cost 9k for the Fiend Katana.
Well, we can get the Devil's Spear, at least. That's pretty cheap. What I'd like to find is one of the Mages Guild's guild halls. The easy thing to do would be to go to Balmora, enter the guild hall door, see where that leads, and then go to the entrance of that cell and pass through that door, taking me to the Balmora Mages Guild. We observed this working earlier with the Hlalu Council Hall and the Fighters Guild, but at the time of recording, for some reason, I thought the Council Hall was connected to a shop near the Fighters Guild, not the Fighters Guild itself. So when I ended up in the Fighters Guild, I was kind of confused and I didn't connect the dots. The logic of the randomizer hadn't coalesced in my smooth brain. If I had realized sooner, I would have found a guild hall by now. Instead, we're wandering. House Redorand's quests are pretty boring, but their gear is pretty cool. The Upper Tower of Tel Naga. Hello, Nelith. You're looking well. There's usually some loot in these side rooms. These mushrooms. Silver Spark Slayer. Two-handed longsword with shock damage. Not bad. A Gajulan bone mold helmet. Not as cool looking as the Redorand helmet, but it's medium rather than light, so we'll take it. Ooh, bone mold shoulders. I love these ones. World of Warcraft ass pauldrons. And the Arman bone mold helm. It matches the shoulders and is slightly better than the Gajulan one. Our first level up. It's about time. Strength, agility, and speed. I'll be leaving. You wouldn't believe how much non-significant exploration there was between this clip and the last one. Like 30 minutes of nothing. If you'd like to see what that was, go check out the VOD channel. This was streamed. The meandering carried us back to Balmora. We enter Millie Hastion's shop and find Creeper. I don't know how valuable gold will be, but we might not find Creeper again. We gotta maximize our profits with the Creeper Shuffle. The Shuffle is just selling him stuff, waiting a day, buying it back so you can sell more expensive stuff, and then you resell the stuff you bought back so you can get the most out of each item. Before we leave, we grab the Orcish gear from the crate upstairs, giving ourselves an extra 7 points of armor.
Oh my. That actually got me.
Go ahead, Sterling.
Oh, the dudes with the alchemy and whatnot.
As a spell sword, we have alchemy as a minor skill, and if we want to defeat Dagoth Ur without the main quest, we'll need to jury-rig Wraithguard, which means we'll need a fair bit of health. Our endurance is 65, so we only get 6.5 points of health per level up, so every level counts. These vendors sell restocking scrib jerky, salt rice, and marshmallow. Together, they make potions that restore both health and fatigue. Amazing potions, easy XP, and most importantly, it's cheap. We can actually recoup all the costs by selling some of the potions back to the vendors. The difficulty here is actually leveling. By that, I mean resting in an area where it's legal. Normally, from this location, you could swing by Wolverine Hall's Fighters Guild and sleep in their beds. But currently, getting to that Fighters Guild bed is a bit more difficult. So we place a mark in this room to return at a moment's notice, cast Almcivi Intervention to Mulugmar, go through the temple door, and end up in some random ancestral tomb. We can sleep here. But wouldn't you know it, this random ancestral tomb is the Drethin ancestral tomb, the other part of the ancestral tomb from earlier. We can get Marara's ring, assuming we can kill the vampire wearing it. With this assload of health and fatigue potions, it shouldn't be that tough. Marara's ring. Reflects 20%, Fortify Acrobatics 10 points, Resist Normal Weapons 40 points. Great ring. Alright, back to Alchemy. Level 4, Level 5, Level 6, Level 7, Level 8, Level 9, Level 10. I'm not too concerned about making money, so Onius Archerus can have all these potions for 200 gold, basically giving them away. Selling them is faster than dropping them. We return to Balmora and see what new doors await us. It's certainly been more than 24 hours, so everything should be reshuffled. The pawnbroker's shop leads to Galamdeus, home of the Burn vampire clan. There's actually quite a bit of loot in this place. I believe there's a Daedric shield in the room with Raxel Burn, but that might be a different cell. Couldn't hurt to explore anyway. Ah, the Daedric shield is in a different cell, but there's a pair of Daedric boots right here. The Lower Mages Guild door leads to the Barum Ancestral Tomb. There's not much to be found here besides Daedra and the Undead, but we do level up once more, level 11. We're now sitting at a comfortable 123 points of health. We'll need about 100 more to jury-rig Wraithguard, but we can reduce that number if we find some Fortify health effects. We spent a bit too much time in this tomb, however, and the exit re-randomized, taking us away from Balmora and dropping us at the Urshulaku camp. But Sakaran's Yurt sends us back to Balmora into the Eastern Guard Tower, which is, conveniently, the very same guard tower containing the Sword of White Woe. Its enchantment isn't amazing, drain health 1 to 10 points for 30 seconds, but it is an ebony broadsword, better than the silver flame sword we've been using. The damage might be close to equivalent, but the Sword of White Woe has way more durability. We jumped in a glass mine and leveled up. If it wasn't obvious, I'm cutting a ton of dungeon crawling. As great as Morrowind is, A lot of the dungeons aren't super interesting. Tamriel Rebuilt's dungeons, however, those are fun. We're gonna keep an eye out. We'll be checking those out soon enough. Since this door leads us to Solstheim, we should take the opportunity to get an even better sword. We jump across the island with one of our Scrolls of Icarian Flight, take in the natural beauty of this land, and arrive at the Thirsk Mead Hall. Behind the hall is a hollow tree stump containing Shadow Sting, a unique ebony longsword that does 5 points of poison damage and 200 to 100% chameleon, both for 20 seconds on target. It's a weird enchantment. Good for an assassin, I guess, hides the body so you don't have to. There's also a pair of gloves that boost sneak and security by 20 points each, the Ring of Ravens that fortifies marksman by 20 points and grants Night Eye, we won't be using it, and finally there's 5 ebony arrows of slaying. Damage health 5,000 points for 1 second on target. We'll take them, but we won't be using them. Another 40 minutes later, level 13. Vivek, Door Central. One of the doors on the outside of the St. Olm's Canton takes us to a familiar place, the Dren Plantation, the guardhouse. We failed the last time we were here. Easy. Daedric Claymore. Nice. It's pretty heavy though, and it doesn't do that much more damage than Shadow Sting. And it is slower. Let's go visit the Mudcrab Merchant. He's outside, so he shouldn't be too hard to find.
Ah. Lady. Ah, woman.
What's great about the Mudcrab is you could do the Creeper Shuffle without needing to bring your own cheap gear with you. He has a restocking supply of booze, and as is the case with all restocking merchants, if you sell their restocking item back to them, the amount they restock will increase. By buying and selling a bunch of Sujamma from him, we create an easy way to sell items with values above 10k. You buy Sujamma to make up the difference, wait 24 hours, then sell the Sujamma back, and repeat. He buys and sells for the same value too, so you don't lose any profits. We're sitting at 124,000 gold. Not sure what we're going to do with it, but we got it. Ah, this door brought us to Millie Hastian's shop. While we're here, we might as well stock up on some extravagant clothing and jewelry, for enchanting purposes, that is, if we ever manage to find a mage's guild.
The sleeper awakes.
I can't believe the Caldera guards were offering safe haven to the 6th house this entire time.
Oh, the Urshulaku, Bone Butter Bow, Soul Centipede, but we can't get it because there's other entrances.
Now, finally, we apply the randomizer logic to our travels. It's here that I realized how things work. By entering the Mages Guild in Aldrun, we learn what door it connects to, St. Dellen Canton South 3. From here, we cast Omsivi Intervention, arrive at the Temple District, walk 1 canton over to St. Dellen, enter South 3, and here we are, Aldrun's Mages Guild. It's about time. To start off, we buy some spells. Unduci's Open Door, Slow Fall, Telekinesis, simple stuff. And we place a mark at the guild guide, letting us always return to the guild, no matter how many times the doors re-randomize. In Balmora's Guild Hall, we buy Soul Trap and Bound Longsword from Massalini Marion, and a bit of mysticism training from Moraine Dren. Only because I'm sick of failing to cast my teleport spells. With Telekinesis, we hide behind the pillar near Galbadir and steal all of her soul gems. She's not going to need them. In Sadrith Mora's Guild Hall, after raising Debian Mornardle's disposition to max, we use one of those stolen soul gems to enchant an exquisite robe with 90 seconds of Bound Longsword. It only costs 7k. Another cheap-ish enchantment is 100 points of Fortify health for 4 seconds. Our Daedric boots aren't really doing anything else, so they can get the magic. That costs 15k. These boots should grant us enough health to jury-rig Wraithguard. We'll just need to heal back the damage before the fortification wears off, or else we'll die. It'll be fine. Now that we have a good grasp on this logic, we can take the final steps to defeat Dagorthur. To learn where Vivek is, we must enter his palace and see what random cell takes us to. Since we visited him earlier, the door is already unlocked. The mod has a setting to unlock locked exit doors. It would suck if you got stuck in a cell because you didn't have a lockpick. The palace door leads to Ilmiral's house in Aldrun. We recall back to the Aldrun Mages Guild, then Omsivi out to the front of the temple, and find the house in question. We could have also just Omsivi'd from the inside of the house, and we would have gone to the temple anyway, but I didn't think of that. And here's our dichromatic friend. Alright, so he's not a pushover. Why don't we chug a bunch of that Sujamma we bought from the Mudcrab? That's more than 200 damage per swing.
Where'd he go? Oh.
Oh no, the threads of stuff. The ancient Dwemer device needs to be fixed up before we can wear it, and that means finding an expert on Dwemer technology. Tamriel's last living dwarf is actually right here in Vardenfell, funny enough. He's in Dvaithfir's Corpusarium, but that's behind 2 interior cells, making things a bit more complicated. First, we need to find Telfir, the interior cell, that is. The actual tower is easy to find. It's west of Sadrith Mora. Entering the Mushroom Tower takes us to the Hlalu Council Hall. How familiar? Pretty simple. We Civi out of the building, run a short distance to the Council Hall's actual door, and this brings us to Telfir's Onyx Hall. The door leading to the Corpusarium, however, drops us into Kushapal. So where the hell is this? We can't get here from an exterior cell, not directly at least, so we've got a bit of work to do. The Marvani Ancestral Tomb is the cell containing the door leading to Kushapal, and that tomb is an exterior cell. We Civi out of Kushapal to Mulag Mar, and travel south to the tomb's entrance. This won't be the actual entrance, however. Going through this door, we instead find ourselves in Draran Theralis' house in Sedanin. Getting back to Sedanin is a simple matter of teleporting and taking a few taxis. Entering Draran's house takes us to the inside of the Marvani tomb. It's full of undead and Daedra, but they're not a problem at this point.
Oh my god, is this the inside of a pyramid? What's happening?
We go through the door leading to Kushapal, but instead, we find ourselves in the Corpusarium. But Yegrim Bagarn is in the bowels. We need to perform this dance once more to get in there. The bowels door takes us to the Royal Palace Depot, which might sound complicated at first blush, but the room next to this corridor is the Royal Palace's reception area, the room you arrive in when you teleport from Ebonheart. We recall back to Outrun, take the Guild Guide to Vivec, Divine Intervention to Ebonheart, and try entering the cell into the Grand Council chambers. This door connects to the upper floor of the Fighters Guild. You couldn't ask for an easier door. From here, we Civi to Belmora Temple, run south a bit, and enter the Fighters Guild, ending up in the room with Ascian Rain. She teleports us to Mournhold, to the cell directly next to the Royal Palace Depot. Would you look at that? The Corpusarium Bowels. And here's Yegrim Bagarn, Master Crafter and Tamriel's last living dwarf. He can jury-rig Wraithguard for us if we bring him Kagranak's journal and plan book, both of which we find in Endosal and Terrainolal, respectively. Rather than figuring out how to get into each citadel one at a time, we'll instead visit a few of them first, see what doors they're connected to, and then visit them in quick succession. Endosal connects to the Alice Ancestral Tomb, Odrosal connects to Pelagiad's North Wall, and Terrainolal connects to the Telvanni Underworks in Vivec. Veminal, we'll come back to that later. We don't want to be too slow in getting to the citadels because, remember, the doors re-randomize after 24 hours. Terrainolal is the easiest to get to. We return to Vivec, grab the 100-point levitation buff from the shrine under Bardal, and fly over to the Telvanni Canton. How appropriate. This citadel has multiple cells, but the primary cell, the one we're in right now, is the one containing Kagranak's plan book. We kill everything on the way to Dagoth Terrain Nul, including Dagoth Terrain Nul, and use his key to unlock the nearby desk and loot the book. Funny enough, the randomizer actually helps us get around the world faster. Instead of using taxi services and passing a bunch of time, we run into random doors until we land in a different teleportation region. Civi Intervention from Sadrith Mora carries us south to Mulag Mar, and then we levitate north towards the Alice Ancestral Tomb. Endosal is another single cell, basically. The book and the vampire are both in the primary cell. We kill everything, grab the book, and move on to Pelagiad.
Who the hell are you?
Odrosal. Keening is here, but it's not in the primary cell. That complicates things a bit, but we can manage. First, we kill Dagoth Odros and... We kill Dagoth Odros, take his key, and see where the Keening door puts us. The Mournhold basement sewer door, it might be doable, but it would probably require several interior cells, so... The Imperial Commission in Ebonheart, an egg mine, Simmine Frailini's bookshop. St. Ohm's Temple. This is doable. We Civi to Vivec's Temple Canton and float up to the plaza to check where that door leads. One of the entrances maps to the Lethen Manor in Mournhold, and the other goes to Balin O'Merrill's house in Balmora. That's an easy one. Here's Keening. Returning to Yegrim Bagarn is easy since we left a mark there. He takes Kagranak's journal and plan book, but refuses to fix the ancient Dwemer device if we don't have enough health. Remember when we enchanted those Daedric boots? Alright, gotta be a little bit quicker than that. There. Time to find Veminal. This citadel is connected to Yennis Arvel's shack in Aldvelothi. Not a convenient location to get to, but simple enough. Teleport to Nissus and run north. Yennis' shack has 2 doors, and the more obvious one went to not Veminal. Made me nervous for a bit, but I figured it out. Dagoth Vemin is in the Hall of Torque, an interior cell within Veminal, so we've got another circuitous path to take. It opens into the Ordinator Barracks in Vivek's Temple Canton. We can get here through the Hall of Justice, in the Temple Canton, of course. One of the Hall of Justice's doors goes to the Mirandus Propylon Chamber, which is a pretty easy location to get to. It's not that far from Vivek, actually. Now we have to find the Ordinator Barracks. The Temple Canton is hard enough to navigate without the randomizer.
Where what?
Oh, we found it.
We kill the squid face, and then take out Dagoth Vemin. On his corpse is Sunder, best weapon in the game, in my personal opinion. And my opinion happens to be the correct one. It's time for the final dungeon. Dagoth the Citadel, goes to Taryan's house in Aldrun. That's close to an Civi temple. Excellent. I thought the mod unlocked the doors. It's not illegal if you're rich. We've got a few interior cells in this place, the first connecting to Hlormarin's bottom level through the door coming from the stronghold's top level. The first time we were here, these guys broke us in a single hit. That's character growth. Good job, Anabli Namemenu. We teleport to Balmora and go west. The top level of Hlormarin, the entrance on the roof, brings us back to Taryan's house, which had originally connected to the front door of Dagoth. Rolling with the confusion, we go to Aldrun, enter that very same building, and end up in Hlormarin's top level. The doors must have re-randomized and coincidentally picked a recent door. Technically, assuming this randomizer is actually random, to the extent that computers can be random, computationally indistinguishable from a uniform distribution, then there should be an occasion where a door randomizes to exactly where it's supposed to go. Actually, if it were truly random, there is a non-zero chance that all the doors randomize to their exact locations. Part of why the Allies were able to crack the Enigma cipher during the Second World War is because the encryption scheme the Axis powers used couldn't map a letter to itself, and that reveals information. Anyway, we've made it to the inner facility. The lower facility door spits us out into Wolverine Hall, outside the Mages Guild door. Getting back to the Mages Guild shouldn't be too tough. By getting into any of the guild halls, we can take a guild guide to Sadrith Mora and be on our way. If the lower facility door dropped us outside, say, the Fighters Guild, that'd be a different story. That'd be a soft lock. Sort of. We'd still technically be able to find the door leading into Dagoth room, but that would just be randomness. There'd be no logic behind it. We just have to check a bunch of different doors. It wouldn't be skill-based. It wouldn't be like GeoGuessr, where you enter a room and it's like, oh, where is this? How do I find that? It'd just have to be luck. So, effectively a soft lock. The Aldrun Mages Guild connects to one of the Canton homes in Vivek. A lot of doors lead to Vivek, mostly because Vivek has a lot of doors. We go to that home, enter the Aldrun Mages Guild, teleport to the Wolverine Hall's Mages Guild, leave the Mages Guild, and once again, return to Dagoth. The next room holds Daddy himself. Foreign Quarter, Lower Wasteworks, out of a door from the Upper Wasteworks. There's something ironic about that, what with how much Dagoth hates Outlanders. It's tough when we get sent to a Vivek interior. There are just so many doors. So many doors. One of the 4 Upper Wastework doors goes to the Shulk Egg Mine just outside Balmora. Once we get to the Upper Wasteworks, we need to figure out which of the Lower Wasteworks doors is the correct one. I should have noted which quadrant it was in. What the hell is... I think that's from TR Data. Aldadroth? Nope. Aha! Dagoth.
Dagoth welcomes you, Nerevar, my old friend. But to this place where destiny is made, why have you come unprepared?
To avoid having to find this place again, we're gonna drop a mark right here. And now, we have one more interior cell to navigate to. The door to Akulakan's chamber randomizes to Thorana's chamber in Tel Bernora. From Moligmar, we take a boat trip to Tel Bernora and try to enter the upper tower, but we arrive in El Musa Damari's house in Caldera. Getting to Caldera is a bit of a pain in the ass without easy access to the Mages Guild. Running from Balmora might not be faster, but it's easier. Thorana's egg room!
What a fool you are. I'm a god. How can you kill a god? What a grand and intoxicating innocence. How could you be so naive? There is no escape. No recall or intervention can work in this place. Come, lay down your weapons. It is not too late for my mercy. What are you doing? What are you doing? Full stop! This is the end. The bitter, bitter end.
Unfortunately, no recall or intervention can work in this place. There is no escape. Even with Dagoth dead, we can't just recall back to the facility chamber. We gotta use the actual exit like a normal person.
I haven't much time, so...
Oh, what the hell is this? T Gallery? It's all the TR Data paintings, I guess. Project Tamriel? Province Cyrodiil? I have that mod disabled because that would make this randomizer even more of a headache. But I did keep TR Data enabled for more face choices. Maybe that keeps these rooms active? These paintings are fantastic. I think it's all custom art made by the modders. Teleportation magic doesn't work here either, for some reason.
What do you mean teleportation magic doesn't work here? This is Vivek. What, is it think because I didn't leave the room that I'm still... What? What? I'm sorry, what? Am I soft locked? How the what the fuck? Why am I here? What, now I gotta fight Almalexia? Are you kidding me?
He's over here.
Okay, alright, we can teleport now.
Well, that was an adventure. If you're wondering if I'd try doing the entire main quest with the doors randomized like this, check out my single attempt on the VOD channel. It's a nightmare. I got as far as meeting Hasaura Zain Subani, and then gave up.